all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
the
convinced
pullback
to enter
across
a long trade.
Hello crypto friends, hope you're doing well. Late night video tonight. I've been out celebrating freedom and having fun at the beach and watching the sunset. So now it's time back to crypto. Some things are going on. Binance, it looks like, is having a little bit of an issue. They're saying they're down for maintenance. Some people are looking into a potential hack. SYS BTC on Binance was going wild in terms of just a huge spike out of nowhere. And then you can see it ran up multiple hundreds of %. This is the 5-minute time frame. And you can see in just one little period here, we went from 6.7, and then 20 minutes later, we were all the way up at 21. So that's a 400% or 300% plus move. And obviously, we haven't seen that in a long time in a lot of coins. But the people are speculating that there was a hack relative to this. I'm still looking for the details and piecing it all together. But that's something to be keeping an eye on for all you traders, and potentially a negative reaction to the market if this is a bigger deal than it, appears to be on the surface. It doesn't appear to be a big deal, but something to be keeping an eye on and to do some reading up on and to be aware of what's going on. So Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, we still have a long way to go this week, but so far we're not seeing significant follow through in strength. The daily time frame wasn't an inside bar, but essentially I consider that an inside bar. The higher high on this daily candlestick was by $4. So it was essentially a double top and a bear break of this daily inside bar. But again, we knew daily consolidation would have to happen every single day since the low and the double bottom has been a higher low. So that was 4 days in a row of higher lows. And now we're pulling back to try and establish a daily higher low and then see continuation. So this is a normal pullback still at this point as far as the daily chart is concerned. It's just making bulls a bit nervous because we know that the bulls have been struggling hardcore the past 6 weeks. And they're going to have to alleviate the stress of these bulls by breaking this resistance level of 68.29. So I knew daily consolidation was coming. Everybody knew it was coming. The question was, can we break this resistance level and then increase the odds that we will see higher low and higher high continuation? Or do we pull back before that level and have the bulls still sitting a little bit nervous, waiting for a potential follow through? So at this point, there's no major red flags. I would say if we pull back and break 62.57, that would make the bulls concerned. If we can hold that level on this consolidation, we still have strength and short-term upside action for the bulls. But if that level is lost, again, we're going to be watching volume. Volume is going to be a very important indicator, but that's the important support level for me, because if that level is lost, a daily equilibrium will be likely. Whereas if the bulls can hold that level, continuation will be possible. So the 4-hour time frame, when I talk about volume and what's important for volume, so I posted this on Twitter a while ago, maybe yesterday actually, but it's comparing volume. Just historically, previously, what happened on the other bull moves and what did the volume look like compared to the bear moves. So here is a bear pullback where we saw a big bull spike, and then the bulls could not keep that momentum, and we consolidated for almost 10, 12 4-hour candlesticks, and it led to no follow through. Look at the volume here. It's all red candlesticks, number one, and then increasing bear volume. So that is very notable. And what do we compare it to? Compared to the last consolidation we saw. Look at that volume. That volume is clearly bullish. It's very healthy. We're seeing a mix of red and green. There's no increased bear volume standing out significantly. We held exponential supports. We did not hold exponential supports last time. So again, we have this entire history to be looking at in terms of helping us shift the odds. Well, what does this mean when this happens? When volume does this, what did the price do? And what were the moving averages doing? Those are examples that we can look back to. So here on this initial consolidation, nothing was standing out. And now we have a big bear volume spike, and we're losing 4-hour exponential supports. We do still have a support level here at 62.57, so that's the level I pointed out on the daily time frame that the bulls ideally want to hold, and that would still keep the base of consolidation from the last pullback intact at this point. But it's very clear that the consolidation is underway, and there were a bunch of clues that this was going to happen, and the clear clue was the triple top. So we hit a resistance level of 66.65. We saw healthy consolidation, but this consolidation was in an upward slope as opposed to a downward slope. So the upward sloping consolidation did not cool off any RSI levels. We came right back up to that resistance. We broke it by $5 and then pulled back significantly. That's a clear double top. And at that point, after we had this rejection and then this pullback right here, I exited my swing Litecoin position. So now I'm back to all cash, and I exited because we had the clear double top. And what that double top does is it gives bears confidence. Bears can enter positions when they have clear resistance now, and they can just say, all right, I'll stick my stop level somewhere above that resistance, giving some wiggle room to make sure that if it's, a $5, $10 break, that it's not going to stop me out. And that's the bearish entry. And it keeps bears confident because it's not a lot of risk on that trade. If you make that bearish entry after the double top and you get stopped out, it's a small loss, where if you get this kind of pullback, it's a big win. So the risk to reward is there. And we did get one more bull break, but again, not much follow through at all. At this point, we only made a higher high by $4. So a $5 bull break, a $4 bull break, and then the clear bear break was losing those higher lows. So as soon as this level broke, 66.18, that would have been a good stop loss level. And you can see this candlestick here shows us a bunch of stops triggered. And that's where we see the bear spike in volume, the loss of all support levels from the low of consolidation. Then we had another point today where the bulls tried to make their way back towards that resistance. They were rejected again. We had multiple inside bars and then an all-out dump again. So very clearly the bears are in control of the short term. And just like that, the hourly RSI is oversold again. So I would be watching for an hourly oversold bounce, because these RSI levels are good indications in oversold conditions, not when we're in a downtrend and just doing bear flag after bear flag. Clearly, we've been in an uptrend for the last 4 days. That changes things. So the uptrend gives us the ability to use these bull indicators for RSI a little bit more aggressively. So if we have the hourly RSI oversold, and if we get the 15-minute RSI down in the 20s, that's when I would be looking for the potential of a short-term entry for just a flip. And I'm trading this space way less these days and with less capital too. So I don't have to keep as close an eye on it, and I can swing Litecoin for about 4 or 5 days like I just did. And that was just because I had a smaller position. I didn't have to have as tight a leash on it, because we could pull back significantly and I wouldn't be giving back a ton of capital. So looking for oversold bounces here. The 15-minute time frame, as long as it's lower highs, we know the bears are going to stay in control. Anything under 65.20 is a lower high on this potential bounce attempt. But again, the hourly RSI and the 15-minute RSI getting so oversold, and the hourly RSI is just now getting oversold. So we have a ways to go there. So perhaps one more leg down on the 15-minute time frame. If we do get another lower high and lower low, that's when I'll be interested, because that's when the hourly RSI will be oversold and will be approaching this support level. So the risk won't be as significant before this key support range is reached. So I just talked myself through what my game plan is. I'm not touching this in terms of trying to play this bounce for the bulls unless we see another leg down on the 15-minute time frame. And that is where I stand. So checking in on Ethereum, in comparison, the weekly time frame, again, not a whole lot of follow through at all. We are not confirming the bullish reversal candlestick, but at this point we have 4 more trading days left to go. Daily chart, clearly pulling back, clearly trying to establish a higher low. There is a support level at 442.79. Again, if we lose that level, the odds that we form a daily equilibrium is more likely than if we hold that level and try and see continuation. So again, we pulled back just under the 26-period daily resistance last daily bounce attempt, and here we are doing the same thing. So as far as Ethereum is concerned, it's the same old right now on the daily time frame. Every single bounce attempt rejecting from the 26 period or just below it over the last 2 months, month and a half, and nothing's changed here on this chart. Again, just back to Bitcoin, we look at the daily chart, there are some changes. It is a little bit different, and now of course it's all crowded up, but it is a little bit different in the terms of the strength and the break of a couple key resistances, although again, it was all about 68.30. A lot of people were watching this level, and it would make bulls a lot more comfortable if that could break. So Ethereum trying to form this higher low, 442.79. After that level, 434.50. The 4-hour time frame very clearly pulling back, and Ethereum and Litecoin both hit higher highs overnight. When Bitcoin was hitting multiple tops, these names were hitting clear higher highs, and they just couldn't get much follow through because Bitcoin wasn't keeping up. So here's our support level. The hourly RSI on Ethereum is just now getting oversold, and the 15-minute RSI is also down around 20. So again, here's another positioning where we're looking at this key support level, and if we drop down and that hourly RSI is in the mid-20s, we can be looking to potentially bottom fish this support level. But of course, it depends on what Bitcoin's doing as well, because we need Bitcoin to bounce in order to see a significant bounce trying to hold this support. So what we're seeing today in the last 8 hours is the most significant bearish action since this bounce got going. So it is notable. The bear volume is here. You can see the initial consolidation. The bear volume was missing. Much more bear volume here. And here you can draw a line on the volume here as well, where we can say, okay, here's the highest bear volume candlestick of consolidation initially, and we can see 1, 2, 3 of these candlesticks recently breaking to higher volume. So bulls need to be cautious is the bottom line, and we are patiently watching for short-term oversold bounces and daily higher lows. But again, the bears have confidence now, and they have some momentum in their favor, and we are looking at these 4-hour bases of support that were established on the way up, and those are going to be tested overnight and into tomorrow morning. Litecoin on the weekly, again, not following through significantly as the daily chart is now consolidating. Big upper wick of profit taking. We are going to look for a higher low compared to 77.72. Still well over that level, still over 5%. So we have a lot of pullback we could give before we break this support level. Litecoin is the furthest above its support, and that's because we saw the most significant leg up to a higher high where we saw another 3 or 4% where Bitcoin was hitting that double and triple top. So the 4-hour time frame is just now breaking some support, and you can see it's not significant. We're well above this 4-hour base of previous support. So Litecoin's in a pretty good position comparatively. If Bitcoin and Ethereum both looked like this, we would say we might be looking for continuation into tomorrow because this consolidation is still very healthy. But again, that's not the case for the other names. Looking at the RSI for Litecoin, it's in the upper 30s, whereas Ethereum's in the upper 20s. So very clearly there is a difference between those names. 15-minute RSI trying to get a little bounce going right now, and that means Bitcoin likely is as well. Lower wick, and we're looking to see, do we form a lower high on this 15-minute time frame? BCH USD weekly candlestick is not confirming the follow through. Daily chart is consolidating. Bulls ideally want to hold this level of 716.80 or 716.18. Same thing, if we lose that level, daily equilibrium. If we hold that level, potential for continuation. And we also saw another leg up here as well, where Bitcoin hit multiple tops. Nice little tight range bull break. Significant consolidation began once that low broke. So 775 breaking, and we've seen significant pullback since then. And here we are approaching the base of support from the last consolidation. Hourly RSI is getting oversold. 15-minute RSI down around 20. So this is more in line with Bitcoin. And I would say right now it's Ethereum's the weakest. BCH and BTC are right neck and neck. And Litecoin is holding up the best out of all of these names. And you can see we're still down at the low on BCH. Bulls need to be cautious. And I'm very comfortable all cash right now. Just waiting to see how this daily chart plays out, anticipating a tightening range for the next couple days. Also anticipating the holiday in the US could be adding to decreased volume, especially tomorrow. So keep that in mind. BCH USD, weekly candlestick, or this is actually EOS USD. Weekly candlestick upper wick, could still see follow through. Just need a little bit more upside to get that confirmation candlestick. Healthy daily consolidation at this point. So again, if everybody looked like this, bulls would be a lot more comfortable. 777 is support, looking for a daily higher low. Resistance is 945. 4-hour time frame, a little bit more pullback than the bulls would like. Breaking 877 was a clear move down for further consolidation after a little weak bounce attempt. But again, we're still well above support from the initial base of consolidation. So this is the second strongest name behind Litecoin. And you can see just doing these 5 names, this is the first time I'm sitting down since coming home and doing this analysis. And just like that, I have a ranking of the strongest to the weakest just by comparing where they stand comparative to each other. So in a pullback here, the hourly RSI is not oversold. Bounce trying to play out. 15-minute RSI is oversold. Watch these 15-minute lower highs. That's the clearest short-term pattern. So I always like to have a time frame I'm watching heading into the next day. I'm watching the 15-minute time frame, and I'm watching the 4-hour chart on these names. And here again is SYSBTC, which saw all that volatility before Binance essentially said something's up and halted things. So that's where we stand heading into tomorrow. Bitcoin 15-minute oversold bounce trying to play out. Again, very patient, very cautious. Unless news comes out for these bulls, the price is not going to run away from me. So I'm not, itching to get into a position. This is the most significant consolidation that has occurred since the double bottom and bull move. And if the bulls do show up without news, it's very likely to just form an equilibrium pattern. So there's no rush to get into a play. I can just say, all right, well, we're either going to see the bears continue to drive the price down, or we're going to see the bulls bounce, but it's going to give me an equilibrium. And I'll just play the equilibrium break when that happens, probably on Thursday. Probably Thursday, if that's how it plays out. So change the 15-minute trend. We'll look for a 4-hour higher low to be found, and we'll see a bounce try and play out. And then we'll look for a 4-hour lower high. So let's get back into story time. Didn't do it yesterday. But where we left off, still traveling through Utah, and this is Calf Creek Falls in Kodachrome State Park. And the Paul Simon song was stuck in my head the entire time I was there. But some cool waterfalls. There was a nice beach there. A couple mile hike to get to this one. Really cool cave or petroglyphs again. And this one I had to go really off trail to get up to. I ended up going off trail and coming to a really deep river that wasn't too wide. It was only 10 feet wide, but it was really deep. So I had to take all my clothes off and my backpack and my shoes and my socks and throw them over to the side and carry things over my head. And pretty much, it was not wide enough that I could just launch myself from one side to the other, but definitely got really wet in the process. And it was worth it, though. Got real up close to a bunch of cool petroglyphs that you could only see from a significant distance of a couple hundred yards otherwise. So then there were some interesting rocks at Kodachrome State Park. Probably not saying that right, but... And some cool caves. And from there, moved on to Bryce Canyon National Park. Really cool hoodoos, that's what these are called. And it just looks like, when you take sand in your hand with water and you dribble it and build these sand castles at the beach. That is what this looks like. And it's just the way that the rock is eroding from rain and just time and weather. But really cool. There was a mist that was rolling in. You can see it looks almost like sand castles, the way these things are built and falling down over time. But the mist was rolling in and making things really cool. That's a nice little portal into another dimension. And we have more of these arches and big rocks and really cool formations. This was the color here doesn't really stand out in the picture, but it was just purple and red and green, and ended up camping here. And it was another area. It was just completely by myself watching the sunset. And then this herd of cows in the middle of the woods came up behind me, and I guess they were just free range grazing, but really interesting to sleep in the woods with cows. I've never done that before, but they were just hanging around doing their own thing. And that was the last of Utah, and then was heading into Nevada from there. So I hope everybody has a good, happy, safe 4th of July. And if you're not celebrating the 4th of July, there's an excuse for you to celebrate something. You could go out and get a bunch of tacos and party. And even if it's not your country's independence, you can still have fun. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.